You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, all over social media, or our morning newsletter, KCSN Daily, dedicated to your Kansas City Chiefs. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
From the beginning, we knew right away that we wanted to do strength conditioning and a throwing program for the baseball and softball community. It wasn't something we were trying to back into or all of a sudden learn. We knew we were really good at coaching these skills from the get-go. And the fact that we're in the same business and the employees are all on the same page, we can write a program based off of what a kid needs, not just getting him stronger or faster from a general sense. It's what does this kid need? On the pitching end, we can say, hey, this kid needs such and such. He needs to do this or that better. A lot of times it turns out it's not something that needs to be fixed in the baseball cage or on the throwing mound. It actually needs to be fixed in the weight room.
Welcome back. We are live at the Kingdom Bar and Grill here in Overland Park. We are waiting for the Royals to make their second pick of the MLB Draft with the 49th overall selection. So far, we have missed 16 through 35. Nothing really crazy has happened yet. Mikey Romero went to Boston. Xavier Isaac was like 150 on our aggregate board. He went number 29, but you're talking about a prep first base with a ton of power. So there's some reasons. Dylan Beaver's a guy I really liked for Kansas City at 49, is gone to Baltimore at 33. So there are still a lot of guys left on the board that I think make the Royals farm system immediately better. Really quick, if you did not catch our live coverage of the 9th overall pick, my name is Alex Duvall. I'm the host of the RFR podcast here at KCSN. To my left on your screen is Josh Keiser. He's one of my co-hosts for the RFR podcast. To my right on your screen is Marcus Mead. He is one of the hosts of the Royals Weekly podcast. And over there to Josh's left is Mike Mead, his twin brother, another host of the Royals Weekly podcast. So, gentlemen, as we sit here, we are waiting for Pittsburgh Pittsburgh has taken Thomas Harrington with the 36th overall pick, a right-handed pitcher out of Campbell. So we are waiting for Cleveland to announce the 37th overall pick. The Royals' next pick is at number 49 because they traded pick number 35, where the Braves took right-handed pitcher Ian Ritchie, who's a guy that Mike really liked. Really quick, that pick was used to acquire Drew Waters. Now as we sit here and look at it, with Beavers at 33, Sims at 34, J.R. Ritchie at 35, Thomas Harrington at 36. Marcus, are we still okay with the trade for Drew Waters, Andrew Hoffman, and C.J. Alexander?
Better than okay. I take it every day and twice on Sunday because Drew Waters was a top 50 prospect at one point, has all the tools you would be hoping to find in somebody here at 35, and you're going to pair him with a hitting development that you're really excited about in Drew Saylor, a hitting coordinator you think can give him a little bit more loft on his swing, can help him with his approach, help him cut back on the strikeouts, and get there. Oh, in addition, you also get an excellent pitching prospect who could be a back-end guy for you, who really has dominated at high A and has made, I think, one start now at double A. Just drafted in 2021, and now he's already pitching in double A. And then you get a lottery ticket older prospect in C.J. Alexander as well. And so, yeah, you're getting two really legit prospects for the possibility of one of these guys, when, in fact, in Drew Waters, you already have a guy who has just as much potential as any of these guys on the board.
The Cleveland Guardians have just taken Justin Campbell, a right-handed pitcher out of Oklahoma State, who, if you were going to convince me the trade maybe wasn't quite worth it, Justin Campbell is a good example of a guy that I would have liked at 35. And there's, 10 more picks, 11, 12 more picks here before the Royals' next pick. There are certainly some guys that could go off the board here. But, Josh, as we sit here looking at it, are you still okay with the Drew Waters trade?
Yeah, it feels like overall you're getting 3 lottery tickets for 1. And honestly, I love the Drew Waters. We talked about it on the podcast before that he's a guy that we were kind of targeting preseason that the Royals could potentially, try to buy low on, and that hit tool never really came around, and they still bought low on him in that scenario. So you throw him in, and I love the Hoffman kid. Like Marcus said, he's a dude that just got drafted last year, already in Double-A or High A, and he seems to have some legitimate tools. And we were kind of talking about with the Gavin Cross trade is the floor is pretty high. I don't know about the ceiling, but he's got a solid floor. And if you're trying to tell me that you could buy a guy with a solid floor at 135 right now, I think I'd take it and be completely fine with it. So just on the Drew Waters thing is huge, but the Andrew Hoffman thing is almost just as valuable in this scenario as the Drew Waters thing. So I'm into it.
If you guys follow us on Twitter, you know how I feel about the Drew Waters trade. But Mike, or how are we feeling about the Drew Waters trade not having that 35th pick right now?
I'm just going to echo kind of what Josh said. If you just played it out like this, if Drew Waters was coming out in the draft right now, or Hoffman were coming out in the draft right now, and you said, hey, we got that guy with the 35th pick, you'd be ecstatic, like especially Waters with the tools that he has. So I was happy. Honestly, there were so many Royals fans before this saying, man, if we could just get Drew Waters for trading Andrew Benintendi for him. And now we got him, Hoffman, and the lottery ticket of Alexander without trading Benintendi. Like, that's insane to me. It feels like a really good trade for the Royals. And I feel like Waters is one of those kind of guys that no matter what, yes, right now his hit tool is not very good. He strikes out too much. Honestly, he just swings too much. The guy swings too often. If you can get him to limit that, even if you never get him to limit that, can he be a fourth outfielder in Major League Baseball? Yes, he can. Even if you don't get the strikeouts under control. So that's great. And then you still have Hoffman on top of that. So yeah, when they announced it, I was like, bully, this is it, man. Like, that is a great job by JJ Piccolo. And I was thrilled with it. Still am. It makes this a little less like, oh man, like I'd love to be looking at some high school arm right now.
Which is exactly what the Braves draft is, a prep arm.
And I like Ian Ritchie, and I do. I really liked Ian Ritchie. And when we were talking about, well, who would you want at 49, I was hoping that he would be there. But there's even some questions now, can you sign a guy like that? So especially with now college baseball being the alluring thing that it is with the NIL deals. So love the Waters and love the deal in general.
I can't remember if I was on I was on one of 810 shows, and I mentioned Sam Horn as a good example of NIL. As a big Mizzou football fan, Sam Horn is the next quarterback of the future. He's the next guy, and if he gets drafted in by Major League Baseball 5 years ago, the money's pretty enticing.
Yeah,
now
for sure.
You might make more at Mizzou being the quarterback.
He's gonna
in a third round signing bonus.
4-star guy, right?
Yeah, out of Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Really quick, I want to make sure we continue to remind people. If you Venmo at KC Sports Network, you will enter a raffle. $20 is one ticket. $100 will get you 8 tickets. 4 lower-level tickets to a game of your choice later this season. An autographed Alex Gordon jersey, throwback powder blue, and an autographed Bobby Witt Jr. baseball. All of these are up for the raffle. We will draw for that tomorrow, which is Monday the 18th. So Monday the 18th, we will draw for the raffle winners. Again, 4 lower-level tickets to a game of your choice, an autographed Bobby Witt Jr. baseball, an autographed Alex Gordon jersey, and again, that is at KC Sports Network on Venmo. It is $20 for a ticket, $100 for 8 tickets. All the money raised will go to either the Royals, RBI, the Boys and Girls Program, or the KCSN Foundation. So it'll be split those ways.
And our older brother and our friends have already hit us up to try and get them like an in on winning this thing. So I don't know if that can happen. We can't do that.
No,
people.
It's going to be a fair deal.
Same here.
So I can't even make myself win if for the stuff I put in. So yeah, hopefully, that's a great thing to do though. I love that.
100%.
We are sitting here now waiting on the 40th pick to be announced. Jordan Beck to Colorado is a great pick, a massive Tennessee outfielder, hits for a ton of power. That's going to play really well in Colorado. Robbie Snelling, a prep left-handed pitcher, to San Diego at number 39. And now we await the beginning of round 2, where the Los Angeles Dodgers pick at 40, and then the Kansas City Royals will pick down at 49. Let's go through really quick 2 players that we all really want the Royals to draft. My 2, Texas first baseman Ivan Melendez. He put up some of the most ridiculous offensive numbers you will ever see in college baseball this year. And the other guy, Jacob Mizorowski, is still on the board. Local product, big kid, huge fastball, massive slider. Again, I made the ridiculous comment that he reminds me of Jacob deGrom, but if you compare his body to deGrom's, they're similar size. It's a similar dominant fastball with a slider that registers 92 to 93 miles an hour.
Elite.
You don't find guys like that. Can the Royals develop them? I don't know. Can you teach anybody to throw 100 with a 92 mile an hour slider? No. So if you're going to draft a pitcher, Jacob Mizorowski is a guy where I'd sign off on. No second thoughts about it. You cannot teach what he has. He's got it. Put it in your system and see what plays. I know the Royals haven't done as well with the pitchers. I would prefer them to take Ivan Melendez, let him play first base, let him DH, and just crush baseballs through the minor leagues. But those are the 2 guys at the top of my list. Mike, who are the 2 guys on the top of your list right now for the Royals at 49?
A similar, well, a little different than Ivan Melendez. Ivan Melendez being a college guy. Roman Anthony is a guy that I'm really interested in. Think of him as Elijah Green light. You know, like he's a left-handed hitter versus a right-handed hitter, but he's a guy that is a big, strong guy that's got some power potential, has a little bit of a lofted swing, but can also run and play center field. So he's an athletic guy in that sense. Now, does he stay in center field? There's some question about that depending on how his body fills out. But he's the kind of projectable high school hitter that I think you take in this kind of situation. The question is signability. Is he going to be able to sign? He's committed to Ole Miss right now. So you're going to have a number as far as signing goes that can get him. Then the other guy is different than that. That's Josh Kasevich, the shortstop out of Oregon, is a college guy that I really like because he's one of these weird prospects where you have a high floor, I feel like, but you also kind of have a ceiling if there's a change or maybe a change to his swing a little bit. He's a guy that can put some serious power into the ball, but he hasn't tapped into that in game yet. So he hits some really hard exit velocities, but it's very rare. So you're hoping with a high grade hit tool, which is what he has. Now, I don't know a whole lot about him defensively, but I think he probably sticks at least utility guy, you know, at the major league level. You know, if you need him to play shortstop in a pinch, he's got you. And then he got a lot of other places that he can play. But if you can somehow tap into that power potential, you're talking about a guy who's got position versatility and a high grade hit tool and a little bit of pop. We talked earlier about a Lofton plus. He might be a Lofton plus if you can tap into that power potential. And so I really like Kasevich out of Oregon, and I really like Roman Anthony. I really like Richie, but they already took him off the board for me. So
somebody made the comment that Ivan Melendez is older than Bobby Witt Jr. Yes.
Whoa.
I know.
Wow. I hadn't connected that, but that is a great point.
But Bobby Witt Jr. drafted in 2019. Like, if you do the math, Bobby Witt Jr. should be a senior in college. Like, that's the difference between drafting a college bat at 49 and that one of the best high school talents and generations at number 2, right? So I think with Melendez, he's a guy, he hits so well. I think you could put him in high A right now. And ideally, right, if you're drafting Melendez, you're drafting a polished bat. And the idea being, I wouldn't be surprised if he could hit in the big leagues in 2023.
You know whose body he has? Remember Fienmayor? Balbino Fienmayor? He's got that body.
That's the great Balbino.
Yeah, he's got that body.
I think Jeff Flanagan just became a huge fan of Ivan Melendez.
Just a Mike Mead style body, a little taller,
elite power athlete,
man of the
much
people.
more muscle, much more muscle.
And the guy hits a monster.
I mean,
yes,
tanky
Hispanic Titanic.
Yeah,
Also one of the greatest.
80 fantastic.
What the Royals ought to be doing
That's
is
incredible.
is just cornering the market on Melendez's.
Yeah.
Just get them all.
Just get
Bring
them
them
every one of them.
Because they all hit tanks.
Yes,
every one of them.
Marcus, who are the 2 guys on top of your wish list right now?
I'm going to roll with somebody who I thought would be gone already and isn't. And so I'm getting a little bit excited. And that's a guy named Peyton Graham out of Oklahoma. He's not gone
We
yet.
had somebody asking
I
about
just
that
went back
earlier.
and checked real quick to make sure he has not been taken yet. You're talking about, he's a third base prospect in my mind. I don't know. I think he might have played some short at Oklahoma, but I don't think he sticks there. He's actually a guy who has a little bit of projectability, which you don't normally see from a college guy coming out. But if you look at his body, you're like, this dude could add muscle.
He's
still.
got the
like,
Kristen Yelich.
He's like
volley.
he's like 6'3" and only like 190 or something like that. Not a real thick dude. And so already has quite a bit of power from the third base spot and a swing that you can tell is meant to loft the baseball. The problem is it's leading to too many strikeouts for him. And so you're talking about a guy who would need some development in terms of developing that hit tool, but another guy who is a really intriguing mix of power, speed, agility. The sort of athleticism is there for Peyton Graham, can throw the ball plenty hard enough to stick at third, could be a really good, at the very least above average third baseman defensively. And so he's a guy I expected to be gone already because the tools are all there and because he has been productive at Oklahoma. But if he's still there at 49, man, what a get he would be. Yeah. I don't know if they could get him for a 49 slot value, honestly, because I think he probably expected to go higher than 49, and I don't know if he has the options to go back to Oklahoma or not. But if they think they can get him there, what a get that would be. Another guy I'm really interested in is a guy who's, we would say, has a red flag, a big, giant red flag, and that's Carson Wisenhunt. He's a left-handed pitcher who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs before the season started. He claims it was like a supplemental thing, the thing they all claim when they get busted for PEDs. And so he didn't really pitch at all. He started pitching some on the Cape this summer, but a guy with an intriguing pitch mix, a guy who would have gone much, much higher in the draft had he had a full season to pitch and perform and show himself. I think those are the types of guys you might want to target at 49 and say, because, take your chance, right? Take your chance at 49, especially if, you're looking for pitching at that area. In my mind, he has a little bit more of a, I don't want to say a little bit more of a floor than the high ceiling prep pitcher you might go for at 49. And so, also probably much more signable, honestly, at 49 than one of those high octane prep guys. So I'm big. I'm okay with them taking that chance here at 49. I'm big on Peyton Graham because he's great.
Yeah.
Josh?
I'm kind of going with the keep adding outfield depth, and I'm going to vote with both my picks. I want outfield depth with high upside. Brock Jones was on my original wish list. He's a college junior. He's a 6'0", 197. Got great tools, very good speed, very good power, but the hit tool is a problem. There's plenty of swing and miss in his profile. Same with my second pick is Jed Fabian. I liked him last year.
I liked Fabian.
The Red Sox picked him, couldn't sign him. He went back to Florida, tried to rebuild some stock, and apparently that's definitely not the case. So I would like to see them take another shot on Jed Fabian. Both of them are great defenders in center field. Both of them could be, I don't know if you want to call him Drew Waters insurance, if he's even got the job at that point. But I feel like you can absolutely add some solid depth, and especially in center field where they've been needing some depth in Brock Jones and Jed Fabian. Our guard Joel Pinfield also commented he wants some Cayden Wallace in his life. I can absolutely get on board with that.
Cayden Wallace, my thing with Cayden Wallace is he hit 16 home runs and I think 20 doubles at Arkansas this year in the SEC. Strikes out a bit. The power is there. He hits to right center really well for power. So, I mean, it's an all-fields approach. It's not just dead pull power. I know the Royals love him, and I didn't put him on my wish list, but I would be relatively surprised. Oh, there goes Ivan Melendez. Ivan Melendez is gone at 43.
You jerk. I mean, he can overpower the humidor, right?
Do you notice that there's like a thread running through all the hitters we're talking about right now? It's like they have strikeout issues. They have swing and miss issues. That's why they didn't go in the first round.
Yep.
Right? They have
safe.
So the team that finds the guy that they think that they can turn around the hit tool, that they think they can cut down the swing and miss. You do that with the Jed Fabian, you have a really good
major
league
regular Fabian because he can run too.
You do that with Cayden Wallace. You have another guy. You do that with name your guy Peyton Graham. You have a guy who's really at least an everyday major league regular, maybe even like an all-star.
Now, my guy had a hit tool. I'd just like to say that. My guy had a hit tool, everybody. Yep. So, but no, I forgot about Jed Fabian and how much I loved him last year. Yeah. And like, oh my gosh, this guy, and that's really the big deal. The swing and miss for him has been so big. But man, if you get a development system that can take that away, he is a phenomenal guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little jealous you have him now.
The greatest floor for Fabian is that he's a very, very good defensive center fielder.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy who, even if he does swing and miss a lot, right, it's Drew Waters.
Is it Brewer Hicklin?
I think it's Drew Waters with more
Brewer
power.
Hicklin's,
right?
It's a good combination of those two.
But also with more power. Like your projection for Fabian's power is much better than and Fabian takes a ton of walks as well. Yeah. The approach isn't
but that's not
he's not one of these swing and miss guys who's like, I swing and miss a ton, but I never walk. He walks a lot. He's a Nick Prado. He's Nick Prado in center field, which is wild to say.
Holy
right?
crap!
Now,
you just perked up a lot of ears.
Well, here's the problem.
A lot of ears just went up.
I think it's very different than Nick Prado. The approach is still very different than.
Well, it's not. He gets too deep into counts. He's not needs to be a little bit more aggressive with some of these pitches. The problem is he's doing it in the SEC. Nick Prado's doing it in AAA.
Yeah,
that's the big difference, right? And so, can you say, oh, he can definitely transition this 25% strikeout rate and do better as he moves? That's really tough to do. It's a long shot with some of these guys, but their floor is the good defense in center, the ability to hit for power. It's these traits that everybody wants and covets, but that one thing could keep them from ever even reaching Major League Baseball. That's sort of the gamble with these second-round hitters.
Yeah, I actually think Brewer Hicklin's a really good comp for Fabian.
I think Fabian plays a little better. He'll be a better defender in center, I think, than what Hicklin is. But runs like Hicklin runs. Yep. Great athlete, both of them. Yeah, that makes sense. Both right-handed, right? Yeah, Fabian.
Yes.
Yep.
I really quick. I want to run through our top, our top 100 from the draft guide, and then kind of compare it with who's there. I don't have an entire roster of who's been drafted right now, but Blade Tidwell, a right-handed pitcher from Tennessee, Jacob Melton out of Mercer, love him. Massive college producer. You're talking about a guy who, if he played in the SEC and produced like that, would have been a top 10 pick, which he played at Mercer, so didn't play in the SEC. But when you have a guy that produces like that, you just have to wonder what it translates to. And they've got all the data. They've got his numbers versus like higher upside arms. I'm a big Jacob Melton fan.
Mercer's produced a couple of good Major League pitchers, right? Corey Kluber.
Austin Cox was Mercer.
But I think Corey Kluber went to Mercer too, didn't he?
Maybe.
Some pretty productive Major League Baseball pitcher has come out of Mercer. So you're seeing pitchers come out of Mercer. I've seen that before. I guarantee it. Or maybe I need to stop huffing.
We're not big on facts at Royals Weekly.
No, facts aren't really our thing.
He went to Stetson.
I get the
That's
two
the
confused.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
As soon as you said Mercer, you noticed there was a pitcher that came out of Missouri State a while back, and I cannot remember his name. What was it? Sean Markham. Yeah, that maybe.
No, that is the name.
And that's what made me kind of think of.
Matt Hall?
I don't know. I think it was the Markham. But I'm thinking of a guy that's like, oh, well, you just dominated at a lower level. Heck. I mean, you could go into San Diego State.
That pitcher from Campbell.
1-1. The guy
Strasburg.
Thank you. You dominated at a little bit lower level, and you get a chance. But it's a little weird for pitching, especially because some of those guys they're going against are not guys. But
Jacob Melton, a lot of the same profile that we've been talking about, the high risk but high upside, low ceiling.
Yeah, and I will say
floor, I should say.
We ranked Melton number 37 on our top 100, and we're now at pick 45.
That's value.
So
all that value, baby.
Yep.
Really quick, the best players available according to our board. Blade Tidwell, Tennessee's ace, is really good. He got hurt, fell down draft boards. I would be all over that if I were the Royals at 49. Connor Prelip out of Alabama still has not been drafted,
they've been linked to him a lot.
Yes. What if it is Prelip, who would have been a top 10 pick? Again, the college pitching class, if you haven't been following along, was so injury riddled that there's like very few valuable college pitchers like that would have been taken by now. Connor Prelip and Blade Tidwell will both be excellent value. Jackson Ferris, a prep left-handed pitcher. Judd Fabian, Brock Jones, Jacob Melton, Andrew Dukanich.
You forgot Peyton Graham. He's still on the board, and he's
still on the board.
30s. He's up in the 30s.
Dukanich is out. He pulled himself out, didn't he?
He pulled himself out, but
he doesn't buy it.
You're not buying that? Hey, I get it.
He never buys it. It's all just a negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
He said just negotiate.
I completely agree.
Are you just leaving Brock Porter off because
he got taken?
He did?
Yeah, he got or did he not? Did he not get taken?
Brock Porter didn't get drafted yet? Didn't he?
Holy crap.
No, he didn't. That's right. For some reason, my mind was saying Tampa, but they didn't take him.
Brock Porter is the guy that people kept mocking to the Royals at number 9, a prep arm. He may just have told people, I'm going to school.
He might have. Rocks. It might be the number, but I'll tell you, I wrote up his entry into the draft guide, watched a lot of film on him. I just really like him as a pitching prospect. Loose arm, really good athlete.
Where's he committed to?
Clemson,
yeah. And you're talking about a high school pitcher who very willingly throws all 4 of his pitches. And I love that.
Yeah.
They're not 100%. All there yet. His changeup is there. I mean, it's good. His fastball is good. His slider and curve need a little bit of work. But just a dude who I think in the right development system,
I'm
they're
not-
going to turn him into something great.
I'm not seeing that he's been drafted.
He's not. Yeah.
Wow,
He's
a lot of
double
people
checked.
had him as the top high school arm that wasn't hurt, that hadn't had any injury.
It'll be a
history. That wasn't
signability
the
issue.
hurt guy.
It's
Yes,
a signability issue.
100%.
You know, Lesko was the guy who was the top guy that had been hurt. Brock Porter was the guy who hadn't shown any injury history and was a little more polished as a high school guy. And so I'm super surprised.
Slot for 49 is 1.5 for the Royals.
There is
We're
no
talking
way.
about
No way.
maybe saving 400,000. We're kind of ballparking for the Gavin Cross pick. So do you think $2 million is enough
Well,
to get
and
Brock
you could
Porter to
save
not go to
some.
Clemson?
You could save some everywhere else.
Yeah,
So you're talking
you
about
could go.
needing
True.
2.5.
Yeah. That's
You'd
a
have
good
to take
point.
you'd have to take some
Reasonably-
college seniors like
Yeah, there's no way you're
back-to-back
getting
picks in
You'd have
3,
to
4, or
scrape,
5.
you'd have to
Be right
scrape
there.
together $2 million. Like numbers got to be $4 million, right? I mean,
No. 3 maybe, and the teams at the bottom half of the first didn't want to reach it. So yeah, I don't think so.
I would think it's got to be that high.
It's got to be high.
Jake Bennett, a right-handed pitcher from Oklahoma, has now been taken. So we're 4 picks away from the Royals selection.
Come on, Peyton.
I was
Brand.
looking, but another guy, by the way, that we should mention because we know the Royals are smitten over him is Henry Bolt, high school outfielder
Great
from
guy.
Palo Alto, who's committed to Texas. He is, again, very Drew Waters, Judd Fabian-ish, where people question the hit tool, but everything else plays. Very fast, very powerful, very good defender in center field. Will the hit tool translate? For a prep outfielder, I think it's much less known, right?
Yeah.
For a college outfielder like Fabian with strikeout issues, that's never going to – it normally does not go away. For a prep guy, people question if Bobby Witt Jr. would strike out too much. Strikeouts, we clearly are not going to be too much of an issue for Bobby. He may not walk as much as you'd like, but the strikeouts aren't going to be an issue. Can Bolt be that guy? I don't know. The Royals clearly love him. And another guy who a strong commitment to Texas. How much money is it going to take? And this is where trading the 35th pick really comes into play.
Yep.
Isn't so much who do you pass up on at 35. It's who are you not going to be able to sign now.
Yep.
So Henry Bolt still on the board. We know they love him. Brock Porter probably going to school. I need to hop on Twitter here and see if there's been any rumors about Brock Porter, because I didn't think to look for him.
And Henry Bolt reminds me a lot of Roman Anthony. Like they are very similar type players. I think Bolt's a little bit more advanced than what Roman Anthony is. And yeah, if you had told me, hey, the Royals are going to have a chance to get Bolt at 49, that's great. Or Brock Porter's insane. Like the fact that he would be there at 49 is insane. That makes me think there's just no possible way.
Yeah.
They all know he's going to go to school. I would certainly love Bolt at 49. That would be a great value, I think, because he's got super power potential and he's super athletic.
That's the model for guys you want to. I mean, look at the Royals in the past. Who have they taken in 3, 4, 5 that we've really liked in the past, right? It's been guys who had some athleticism, who had the ability, and then got shaped by a hitting production. Think Mike Massey. Think Tyler Gentry. Think Isbell. These are guys who, have shown some production.
Lofton
have very obvious flaws, but if the hitting production team, if the PD, the player development team can work with him, then he's got what you want him to have. And I think Alex is absolutely right. You'd much rather have than 18, 19-year-old with hit tool questions than the 21, 22-year-old, because there's so much more data that says maybe this guy's never going to make it in terms of
the
strikeouts.
antithesis. The other side of that is probably Peyton Wilson, who maybe hasn't had enough time yet to get into that program to be developed. But yeah, I agree completely.
Well, they're not all going to hit, right?
No, I understand.
If you're getting like 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5, if you're getting 1 out of 5,
what they've done with
3 to 5th rounders, college hitters who you're turning into productive major leaguers, you're doing an amazing job.
100%.
And if they can do that with somebody like Henry Bolt, I think that's a big win, because the athleticism is clearly there.
Yeah.
Really quick, we're
He's
waiting
jacked.
for the Cubs to make their second round pick with the 47th overall selection. Want to give a big thanks to Kansas City Strength and Conditioning, our title sponsor for the podcast this year, KCSC at Home Field out in Olathe. Kansas City Strength and Conditioning, I've mentioned before, I've got a kid that goes out there. He loves it, but they also have regular weight and conditioning programs for just normal people, right, that don't necessarily want to be high competitive level athletes. So be sure to check out Kansas City Strength and Conditioning if you want to throw harder, hit the ball further, or if you're just trying to get in better shape, like definitely need to myself. So be sure to check out KCSE, Kansas City Strength and Conditioning at Home Field in Olathe. Okay, looking at the board as it falls, if I had to make a prediction right now, I think I would take Cayden Wallace. I don't know that they've got enough money for Henry Bolt right now. We know how much they love Cayden Wallace. I'm probably going to predict Cayden Wallace. Josh, if you had to make a prediction, not your favorite guy, but a prediction for number 49, what is your live prediction right now as we sit here?
Cayden Wallace is a good one. I think I'm going to stick with my heart and say Brock Jones. It seems like they are interested in those athletic center fielder types, and he passes the IG test. So I'm in on Brock Jones. That's my pick.
Mike?
My mind says Kasevich. You know, that's a Royals kind of guy, big hit tool, athletic, can play a lot of positions. But my kind of other part of my brain thinks they probably want to start getting some pitching. So I think they might take one of those hurt college pitchers. The kid from Alabama, help me out on his name. Prelip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prelip, I think maybe that guy. So I'm saying Kasevich with my dark horse as Prelip.
Okay, you cheated and you took more than one, but I'm not going to call you out.
You've known me 36 years.
I
I cheat every time.
I know.
cheat every time.
I know. So I'm going to actually go ahead and say, for sake of variety, Blade Tidwell, because I think you were right in the notion that, like, I think they want to get to some pitching.
Yeah.
I think what they really want to do is stock this farm system with pitchers in early rounds and make sure that they get a chance to mess them up as best they can, right? And so I think what they're ultimately going to do is try and look pitcher here, whether or not Peyton Graham is the one that should be taken, whether or not Henry Bolt is the one that should be taken, whatever we say.
I think we're all – I'm not going to go there.
A little punchy? Should we address that?
No.
Mark wasn't here.
No.
We talked about this. He has no idea what we're talking
clue
about.
what's going on. I am like a child who wanders into a
middle of the movie.
We'll have to tell you off the air because the Cubs are making the 47th overall pick.
Josh gets it.
Josh slid the
Exactly.
IG test in there.
All right.
I'm talking about Blade Tidwell, and there's a vaudeville act going on around me here.
Cubs just
an
took
inside
Jackson
joke.
Ferris, which was always like seemingly like an underslot deal, which I could also have seen the Royals doing. I think I saw them connected to him a couple times as a potential for an underslotting. It would be interesting to see if they underslot for Gavin Cross and Jackson Ferris like that, but I mean,
well, and that's why you take Cade Horton at number 7 is so you have the money for Jackson Ferris later.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
Radical idea here. What if they take a senior right here, save their money, and try and pick up some high prep guy in the third round?
That'd be wild.
Because they think Bolt will still be there, because they think nobody else is going to pay for him. They're going to pay him in the third round.
That's certainly possible. And I think we'll know pretty quick, depending on who they take. If they take, I mean,
and I'm thinking of that high school kid that looks like
I don't think they're creative
man
enough to do
pitcher.
So,
I give credit where it's due. Last year, they spent their money so well.
They did.
I mean,
They did.
Mazzucato,
They did.
Caderna,
They did.
Jensen, Luca
and
Tresh.
here's the thing: if you're a team that believes in your
Jacob
pitching
Miller.
development, they had a
Yeah,
great
that's what I was
draft
thinking.
last year.
Miller
But,
just went.
Oh, did he just get?
Hey,
Yeah,
how about
to
Mason?
Miami.
How about Mason McRae's guy, VCU first baseman Tyler Locklear?
Yeah.
One of the best college producers in the country, kind of like Ivan Melendez light. If you can get Tyler Locklear right here at number 49, you should be able to sign him pretty cheap. And like you said, you go get Bolt a little bit later. Tyler Locklear would be very close to thought of as Ivan Melendez had he not played at VCU. So again, I'm talking about a mid-major type of first base only right-handed bat. There are all kinds of reasons that guy's going to fall down the board.
From Bio.
Does the name Vinny Pasquantino ring a bell? That's right down the road at Old Dominion. The exact same guy. And if you can get him for less money, right? If you could take, there are going to be some seniors in this draft who become productive major leaguers. If you can get one of those guys, one of those bats right here, who's a senior because something didn't go his way, like the injury with Vinny Pasquantino and things like that, that would be an amazingly interesting thing to do here at 49. And then, with your third round pick, you're ready to swing for some guy who nobody thought, oh, he's going to school. Well, I have, $2 million extra to give you for this slot.
Yeah. We're looking a little bit further down the road here, but there's a shortstop out of Georgia Tech. He was Kevin Parada's teammate, Chandler Simpson, who is a true 80 grade runner with a hit tool. It's probably going to allow him to be at least get to AAA with a chance, right? And he's a good defensive shortstop. Chandler Simpson, I think, is a guy to keep your eye out for. It just screams old school Royals type of pick. Another guy that I am fascinated by, just in terms of what's going to happen to him because he was injured at the end of the year, is Luis Ramirez. Luis Ramirez out of Long Beach State. He has one of the best sinkers I've ever seen from a college pitcher. He beat Mississippi State on opening weekend and was dominant. And then he gets hurt a few starts later. You're talking about another guy if you're looking for college arms, advanced college arms, who you're trying to buy low on, Luis Ramirez would be fantastic to try to get a prep guy later. And speaking of prep guys, let's go really quick before the Twins make their pick here. There's a right-handed pitcher out of Liberty High School named Carson Milbrandt. Carson Milbrandt is number 97 on our top 100. He throws 94, 97 with his fastball. It's a good slider. It's an okay changeup. You want to talk about the Royals targeting their prep talent recently. They've done a really good job of trying to get the Carter Jensens and the Ben Cadernas of the world. By the way, just so happens that Carson Milbrandt trains at Kansas City Strength and Conditioning.
Oh, weird. Weird hell.
Isn't that weird?
Good things happen when they go to KCS.
Well, you end up throwing 94, 97 as a high school team.
And you're
That's
a
pretty
top
good.
100 talent.
Yeah,
Very
that's,
strange.
that's a nice thing to have.
The issue with Milbrandt, Vanderbilt commit, you have to think that he is thinking to himself, I'm going to go to Vanderbilt and become a top 20 pick in
Yeah.
a couple of years.
Yeah.
But if the Royals want to continue on the trend of trying to keep these guys in-house, trying to keep them local, Carson Milbrandt could be a guy you try to save that money for. The Twins just drafted our guy, Connor Prelip. So thanks a lot, Minnesota, for having Marcus's dream draft over here.
That was my guy. Hey,
Marcus went from.
that was my guy.
Oh, that's right.
That was my guy.
Easy to flip it there.
Yeah,
but
you guys literally the same DNA. We're not going to pretend because you're different people.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to.
You guys are the same.
Nobody ever has. So
Well, here's the thing: they do save it for, or they do leave it open for my dream draft right here for the Royals to go ahead and take Peyton Graham here with his 49th pick. So let's cross it up that happens because the
If
Royals
they
are
take
on the board.
Peyton Graham over Cayden Wallace, my mind will just be blown.
What about-
The Royals will have
Pick is
just
in, by
stopped
the way.
doing things.
Mizorowski, though. Like, what about? I mean,
I don't know where he falls. I don't know. I mean,
Whoever
I
it
would
was,
have
they were
drafted
ready
him a
to
long
pull the
time ago.
trigger
yeah.
because the pick is already in, and that pick just came in. So
somebody's trying to go bed. They're like, it's our last pick of the day.
Yep.
They mailed this pick in. Maybe you're right. Maybe they're taking the college senior way down the board, and they're like, we'll deal with the hard stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Send this pick in tonight. And the league's like, are you sure? What if somebody else takes them? They're not. Take this one.
They're not.
I'm going home. I'm going to bed. It's
Another
late.
name that I thought that kind of screams Royals because he's true grit, Cade Doty.
Dude, love it.
Yeah, he also passes the IG test, but he's just all around good. I don't know about the ceiling, but he's a good all around dude with a lot of grit. I mean, the scouting reports always talked about him being the gym rat, being the first guy in, last guy
There's
out.
your third baseman.
100%. Yep.
Third baseman out of LSU, the Bayou Bengal.
Somebody else I'd probably keep an eye on
See,
too.
I prefer guys who can hit and
Yeah.
play baseball.
Sure.
I'm not a
Sure.
grit guy.
You know,
This is
yeah.
sandpaper. I'm not a
I don't
We're
want the
raising
ghost
good
of-
human
I don't want
beings. We don't need to worry
I
about
don't need
baseball
the ghost
performance.
of Chris Getz out there, just 230 in his way to a front office job. I don't need that. So,
The Royals.
give me somebody who can hit play. Oh, you took your guy. It's your guy.
Who is it?
There it
Joel's
is.
guy, Joel.
We
Congratulations.
effectively called that one as well.
Yeah.
So there it is. Cayden Wallace,
Cayden Wallace. Yeah.
Shout
third
out.
baseman from the University of Arkansas.
It's a great
Woo
program
pig
down there.
suit. No, but okay.
No,
You're not going to get it from here.
not here.
Anyway.
Is that a Robert Moore connection?
Oh yeah, that's a great call there.
Anyway.
You can't believe
No.
that's not connected to the fact.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. Dayton Moore loves that program.
He loves
the
that.
Arkansas
He
program.
loves the
Yes.
Arkansas program. Eric Cole,
And
a number
it's
of
a
years
good
ago.
program. It is.
It is
Yeah.
a good program.
Yeah. So
Draft eligible sophomore, so might command a little bit more money, but
And by the way, hit really well on the Cape last year. Hit 2 home runs, only struck out 7 times in 71 plate appearances, OPS of 820. The Cape Cod League, after his freshman year in what is the most prestigious summer league in the collegiate circuit, Cayden Wallace goes up there as a freshman, holds his own. This year as a sophomore at Arkansas, he's only 20 years old. 940 OPS, 56 strikeouts, 38 walks. But when you consider the fact that he's got a ton of raw power, he is a draft-eligible sophomore. I think Cayden Wallace, truly, I'm not trying to be a homer. I get it. I do understand the pick. I do understand where they're going with this. Are there guys I probably would have drafted instead? Yes. But very much like Gavin Cross earlier this draft, earlier tonight, I like the player. Are there players I would have taken other before them? Yes. But Cayden Wallace is a legitimately good prospect here. For all the reasons we've already stated, we have been begging the Royals to hashtag draft more hitters. They are listening. They're doing something better than we've asked them to do in the past. I am all on board with taking 2 college hitters with your 2 picks, even if they're not the college hitters I would have preferred.
Well, the premise of that Brady McConnell article that you referenced earlier in our first segment was that you should take these draft eligible sophomores before they really hit their peak and become so expensive and have so much value that you have to take them in the top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing with this pick. That's what they did with the Peyton Wilson pick. Taking this guy at this time, and we call him a third baseman, but he has played the outfield before too.
Yep.
He is athletic enough to play the outfield. So he has some position versatility. He's a guy who they could access more power for him. He certainly has the athleticism and the strength to hit for more power. And what do I want? I want a hitting development system like Drew Saylor's built to unlock that power for him. This is the type of guy you need to target when your development is as good as the Royals is, because they're going to take him, they're going to turn him into something valuable defensively, whatever he ends up doing. Big arm,
Monster arm,
big enough to play in right, big enough to play at third. He'll be fine defensively wherever he is. Now, can he hit for enough power to profile in one of those positions? You can't. What's that hashtag you guys got going? In Saylor we trust.
In Saylor we
That's
trust.
what this draft is. This draft is an in Saylor we trust hashtag right here.
We got an update from an MLB scout that was commenting on Cayden Wallace about not only what a great human being he has, but thinks he is going to be an electric player at the next level as well. And again, if you're banking on tools, you can't really find a better college player with upside than Cayden Wallace. If you're just tuning in, the Royals have just drafted Cayden Wallace with the 49th overall pick in the 2022 MLB Draft. They started with Gavin Cross at number 9. Now we have Cayden Wallace, a third baseman from the University of Arkansas, at number 49. All kinds of upside. 940 OPS as a sophomore, 16 home runs, 20 doubles, 56 strikeouts, and 38 walks. Last year as a freshman on the Cape, the most prestigious summer league in the collegiate circuit, an 820 OPS, only 22 strikeouts and 71 plate appearances, wooden bat league against the best pitchers in the country as a freshman. He held his own. This year he comes back to Arkansas and was one of the best hitters in a lineup that made the College World Series. We have asked the Royals to draft more hitters. Hashtag draft more hitters. Hashtag in Saylor we trust. We've been all about it. Even if this isn't the college hitter I would have liked, I love that the Royals have taken 2 college hitters with their first 2 picks in this year's draft. Josh, really quick, instant reaction to the drafting of Cayden Wallace here at number 49.
I mean, you look at the overall value. I think he was 31 on MLB Pipeline. Is that right? Yeah, 31. The Royals Farm Report rankings had him at 44. We got him at 49, so I think there's value to be had there. There's a little bit less on the aggregate, but it's a solid player. I mean, it's more about the floor again to me, but he has plenty to work with. Marcus mentioned the big arm. I love him. I love that big arm. He's got a good glove, so you can stick him out in right field depending on what happens with Gavin Cross. You can stick him on third base and be that guy. We'll have to see how it all works out, but I'm pretty excited, especially because so many of us actually had some stock in Cayden Wallace as far as predictions go. So that's exciting in and of itself. But I'm a big fan of the pick. We'll see how it all turns out.
I want to read a little bit of our draft guide from Jared Perkins, who wrote up Cayden Wallace, our 44th ranked MLB draft prospect. Over the last 2 seasons, the Razorback hit 30 home runs in 323 plate appearances. He was a big prep prospect in 2020, and even though the power is real, there were a lot of questions surrounding his hit tool. There are still some hit tool concerns as he struggles chasing some pitches out of the zone, and that could get exploited a bit as he makes his way through the professional ranks. He has played third base and right field. You could go underslot with him at 9. You could certainly try to get a guy at Wallace, like Wallace, to save some money for your next pick at number 49. Jared nailed it, hit it right on the head. Don't think you could have done better than that in terms of projecting a guy and where the Royals thought of him. Yep. Marcus, really quick, your instant reaction to Cayden Wallace, the newest member of the Royals.
I think it's a brilliant pick. Just like I thought the Brady McConnell pick was brilliant. Just like I thought, I think it is brilliant to take these types of guys who have the tools, who need maybe a little bit more time to develop collegiate or, who are draft eligible sophomores, who are college bats, had some production, but the tools say that there's more in there. And then you get them into a system that will develop them. Now, I think he will go a little slower than maybe some college bats would. You're probably talking a Columbia, a low A to start this year. And then we'll see where he goes from there. And he's not going to be 2 years and he's in the majors. It might be 2024, 2025, probably for somebody like him. But what is he? He's still 20 years old. I mean, that is really young to get somebody coming out of college who has had that much power in that few plate appearances. And like we said, offers the position versatility. You mentioned right field. third base. Could put him in left field too with an arm like that. He could be that Alex Gordon type defender with his speed and with that arm, And so, yeah, this is a phenomenal pick in my mind. The Cross pick was a solid pick. I think this one's a great pick.
Yeah.
That's my exact thought as well. Like, I think when you have a guy like this, when he's got pretty much everything that you need, you only have to develop kind of that one thing, which is his hit tool. Then you've got a guy, especially when your hitting program has shown that that's one thing that we can do a little bit, at least. We were able to get Nick Prado's strikeout numbers down, MJ Melendez strikeout numbers down. We've been able, even Bobby Witt Jr. strikeout numbers went down enough that we could. So it's certainly not something I'm afraid of in this sense. Whereas if you take a pitcher and I think, oh my gosh, the Royals pitching development, can they teach him command? I have no evidence to say that they can. I have some evidence to say that we can teach a guy like Wallace to pick out premium pitches to hit. And to do some damage when he does it, because he has the ability to do that damage. So, and I'm really excited about him. I only know what I've read from in the draft guide about him, and I've heard Joel talk about him a little bit. But that's something to think that we have a guy on the corner at third who could possibly bring some power to the table. That's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And the farm system, by the way, is pretty bare at third base.
Yeah.
You have Emmanuel Rivera. They've been trying to run Michael Massey out there.
Maybe
Nate
Lofton
Eaton,
could play there.
Nick Lofton could play there. But you don't have a true third baseman who hits like a true third baseman, right?
Lofton doesn't hit like a third. Doesn't have the power profile of a third baseman.
Nicky Lopez, same way, right? Doesn't have that profile. This is your third baseman. This is the guy that you draft, that you develop to be a power hitting third baseman that fills a massive void in the system that they don't really have a third baseman to speak of anywhere through the ranks. So this is your guy. I think he's another guy you could slot, because the SEC, if you take major league equivalencies, which are basically like, what does the SEC translate to in terms of a professional league? It's basically somewhere between low and high A, right? And all the other leagues are low A or worse. So the SEC, you could take Cayden Wallace, put him in low A, high A, and it's basically going to be the same competition that he's facing right on the mound. I think this is a phenomenal pick in terms of value. I think it's a phenomenal pick in terms of strategy. Like you said, I agree 100% with the idea that you draft these draft-eligible sophomores now. You might as well pay them a little more than you'd like now, but you're saving yourself $2-3 million in the long run. It didn't work out with the last guy they took. And, well, Peyton Wilson is jury's still out.
Right,
it didn't work out with the guy before that, and Brady McConnell. Peyton Wilson looks like he could be fine. You're trying it again with Cayden Wallace. We've seen a theme here now with the Royals for not 2020. It was 2019, 2021, now 2022, taking a draft-eligible sophomore with your second or third pick and seeing what happens from there.
I think you talk about his glove at third, too, I think is a really interesting thing to look at, because maybe just average hands for him at third, but the athleticism is going to allow him to get to a few more balls than your average third baseman is, and his arm is going to allow him to make plays that a lot of third basemen can't make, and so when he's deep, when he's getting deep down the line or something, he's going to be able to throw that ball all the way back to first if he needs to. When he's going to, if he can pick up a ball that's been bunted or a swinging bunt, he's going to be able to get that ball to first in time. And so you're just talking about these little advantages at third. Even if he has just average hands, I think he'll do really well at third base with his athleticism and his arm, if that's where they choose to play him. Another guy who, yes, they have nobody at third right now, but I think it'll be maybe 2 or 3 years before he makes it to the majors. Who knows what they have at third by then? But a guy who could play left, who could play right, who probably could play second if there's an opening at that point. So we'll see. But there's just so many options with him, and the offensive potential is clearly there.
He strikes me as the kind of guy who at some point goes to the Arizona Fall League and just blows up. You're like, oh my gosh, like we thought he might do this. Yay, he did it. Like just goes out there and just bursts onto the scene in the Arizona Fall League, because 1 year in the minors or 2 years in the minors, and he starts to improve that hit tool, and boom, you just think like a Nate Eaton did.
Also, wouldn't surprise me if he goes to Columbia and just destroys for 3 weeks and goes to Quad Cities, because like Alex was saying, he's faced high level pitching in the SEC before and done pretty well.
There's a comment up there. Alex was on this pick all day. I got a little bit of insight recently that the Royals would like Cayden Wallace, and then today I got a text that they are all over him. Like, this is going to be their guy. And what I was afraid of is that they were looking at Cayden Wallace at number 9. I was like, oh, no. I was like, no.
They'll do it. They'll make them. Don't you threaten them.
Yeah.
So I tweeted that out earlier today. I was like, look, I don't think they're going to go to number 9. And I got a buddy of mine that also covers similar like Royals Farm Report for a different team. He's like, I've been hearing Cayden Wallace to the Royals too. He's like, you don't really think they'd do that at number 9, do you? And I was like, look, man, I don't know. I was like, I know they like him, and you telling me they like him as well, I was like, is not making me feel better about them. But it is awesome that they got him at 49 because I'm going to be honest, I didn't think he'd be here. I really thought another team like the Mets with a huge draft pool would take a chance on him because with draft-eligible sophomores, which you have to understand, they have a ton of leverage, semi-similar to like a high school kid, because if they don't want to sign, they go back to school, and next year they're still a college junior. They could threaten to do it again, and then could go back again.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they have all kinds of leverage, which leads me into my next point. They're not going to be able to save money on a Cayden Wallace. This is not their make a pick and hoping to save money for the next guy like we were just talking about. You're probably going to have to definitely give him slot, which is about $2 million. Maybe a little bit over.
1.5 is what the slot was. Yeah.
Was it only 1.5?
Yep.
So maybe the extra $400,000 you saved from Gavin Cross goes to Cayden Wallace. He gets close to 2. Cross gets close to 5, and that's how your draft breaks down.
Yep.
Mike, as we sit here looking at it now, knowing they probably didn't save themselves enough money for a big prep guy later, they end up with Gavin Cross right around slot. Maybe you save some. Cayden Wallace right around slot. Maybe you got to pay him a little bit over. Give me a draft grade. Now that we know for Cross, actually, let's do this. First, I want your draft grade just for Wallace, just Wallace in a vacuum, and then grade out tonight overall.
Well, Wallace in a vacuum, I'm giving probably an A- or an A, somewhere in that range. I guess we'd say like a 93% in the teaching game. So because of the things we talk about, I mean, he literally one thing improves, and you have a guy who could be maybe an all-star. So, and it comes at a position where they're not very deep in the minor league system. So he's a top level pick. As far as ceiling goes, I think his ceiling might be higher than Gavin Cross's. And that's my personal opinion, but I think that's a good opinion. Overall, the draft grade, because I had Gavin Cross a little bit lower at C+, I think you're running in like a B range there for tonight. It does create a little bit less flexibility for what they can do here on out, because you do have to pay Cayden Wallace the money, and it's not like you're going to be able to underslot Gavin Cross a ton. And so that's a little bit, there's a little bit of lack of flexibility there. But overall, I think this is a solid draft. You have two guys that I think are completely to expect them to get to Major League Baseball and contribute to the Royals team. And both of them, Gavin Cross certainly sooner, but both of them in a not long time period, like not a long time frame for both of them. So it hits right in that window of a Bobby Witt Jr. when he's getting into those ARB years, but you can still afford to maybe bring in a piece or two to help out as a Cayden Wallace gets there, as a Gavin Cross gets there, and now you're rounding out a team. So yeah, I'm happy with what they did. They didn't get the upside at that first pick, but I think there's a lot of upside in the second pick.
Josh, grade Wallace in a vacuum, and then your grade for the night the Royals had.
Yeah, everything you guys have said about Wallace has been right on the money. I'm going to go with a B+. I feel like that seems to be fair. I wish there was a little bit more financial flexibility with the pick. I wish there was a little bit more. I wish I could see, I should say, a little bit more of the upside in the ceiling than what you guys are saying. But the development should be the difference maker, like you said. So it's kind of, there's plenty of ceiling to work with hypothetically, and I wish there was a little bit more that I could see to it. So I would say B+ for the Melton pick in and of itself. The overall draft, though, I'm still sticking with a B+ on that front. We talked to Kyle Bodie a few weeks ago, and he talked about draft strategy being drafting towards what your system does well. And I feel like unlocking some of those hitting tools, being able to help them develop a little bit more and unlocking a little bit more is kind of what that organization is doing well lately. Yeah. So to be able to draft two guys that have potential to be unlocked is a big home run for me. I do wish, again, there was more financial flexibility to kind of throw at some other guys and be a little bit more loose within the next few rounds. But all in all, I feel like it's been a pretty solid draft, so I'm going to go B+.
Would it surprise you to learn that Wallace passes the IG test?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Marcus, give Wallace a grade in a vacuum, and then tonight a grade overall for the Royals.
Wallace is an A in my mind. Like, maybe I'm a lenient grader. I always was known as this one of these when I was a classroom teacher.
He used to let his kids grade themselves.
I was that guy. We were sitting in the sharing circle, and everybody would just give themselves
playing bongos.
How do you think you did?
Playing bongos.
Great.
And so I'd give him an A because the strategy hits. We talked about draft college hitters. That's what they're doing. That is an ace pick in my mind. You really nailed it on the head. in the second round. So we get a guy like him with as much upside offensively as he has and the defensive versatility he has. Plus, a thing your organization needs more of. Not that organizational needs should really matter that much, but
it's weird how that worked out.
On the very last thing of things you need. Well, what I find weird that it worked out is I don't think it's a coincidence that they've taken two guys at the top who seem like they're going to fit their competitive timeline.
Yeah.
Normally you wouldn't want an organization to draft that way because you just don't know with guys. You need them taking the talent, not the guy who's going to be there for them.
Right.
But the Royals seem like they're really interested in making this next competitive window work. And you got to think it's because front office must feel like they're on the hot seat a little bit.
If there's a little pressure.
All these sorts of stuff. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that Cross and Wallace look like they could be in there with the Bobby Witt Jr. timeline.
Yeah.
The thing that Josh said that kind of alluded to this is that just like, boom, wow. It actually kind of seems like with these two players that they have at least somewhat of a coherent plan. You're good at developing hitters, so you draft some college hitters to develop. Maybe that need a thing here or there. Like, when in the past can we say, well, we can see the actual plan that the Royals have, and it's easy to understand, and this is it. Like, we haven't ever been able, or at least recently, we haven't been able to see that in the past, especially on the pitching side.
Yeah. At
least I can see the plan. Like, that's a thing for me. Like, I can tell you think you're good at developing college hitters, and you drafted some college hitters.
Yeah.
And
hey, A plus B equals C.
And who knows? Maybe neither of these guys ever ends up playing for the Royals because they're part of a trade package that brings pitching back eventually.
And
because,
I'll take that.
That's what they're going to end up needing to do. My overall grade for the first day, A-. I think they've done really well. I don't know that I really like a little more high upside at 9, but I think Cross is going to be a very good player. And then, Wallace, I think, is out of the park.
I am going to give them an A- for the Cayden Wallace draft as well. I gave Gavin Cross the A-. I'm going to give Cayden Wallace an A-, and I'm going to give him an A- for the night. There are a couple of guys I would have taken over Cross at number 9. There are a couple of guys I probably would have taken over. Actually, now that I look at the way the board has fallen, I don't know that there's a couple of guys I would have taken over Wallace. I actually really like that pick. So maybe that's an A, but I'm going to give him an A- overall because I think they could have had a little more flexibility. But you know what? No, I'm giving them an A. It's an A for the night.
Also,
they
easy
did.
grader.
You know what? No, they did exactly what we asked them to do.
Join the sharing circle,
Alex.
Join our sharing circle.
I will not be
bongos and join the sharing.
I will not be bullied by this. They did exactly what I asked them to do. # draft more hitters. They took 2 college hitters, one with a ton of upside, one with an incredible floor. I'm giving them an A for the night. I love what the Royals have done here. And if you, I can't. Now the guy's name is escaping me. Dan. The new guy
that's running the draft.
The new guy that's running the draft, killing it. Round of applause for what he's done tonight. Great job. Tomorrow, the draft begins at 1 p.m. The Royals' first pick.
1 p.m. Eastern.
87.
No, 1 p.m. Central Time.
Central, okay.
Yeah,
1
2 p.m. Eastern. So 1 p.m.
Round
local
3.
time. The Royals' next pick will be at 87. So as we're sitting here talking about 49, almost 40 picks will go by. There will be guys on the board who are in our draft guide. We had 100 guys in the draft guide. At least 1 or 2 have been drafted that weren't in the draft guide. So if you're still curious about the draft guide, we nailed the Gavin Cross pick at number 9. We were all over Cayden Wallace to the Royals at number 49 earlier today. Check out the RFR draft guide. Go to royalsfarmreport.com. It's up at the top of the site. It's pinned up there. It says 2022 RFR draft guide. 117 pages of Royal-specific draft content, including 100 write-ups, our only mock draft, which we got a few picks right tonight, which anytime you can get more than one pick right,
in the baseball
I'm all
draft?
over it.
Yeah.
And you killed, we got the pick right for the Royals. That is, I feel so good about that. I am even
Might be time to retire.
The pick.
Just end on the high note.
Gotta leave.
I like the Cross pick more now that I think about it, only because I got it right. That's the only reason. But big thanks to Kansas City Strength and Conditioning. Big thanks to Tickets for Less. If you're planning on going to see the young guys, who I really think will be back, by the way, after the All-Star break, ticketsforless.com. Use promo code KCSN22 to get a discount on your tickets. Thanks to Drum Farm, as always, for being a sponsor. This is obviously not a minor league minute going on, but Drum Farm has picked up our minor league minute this year. Tickets for Less, KCSE, the Kingdom Bar and Grill, for being such a gracious host. We had a pretty good crowd earlier. Drake stopped by. I know we didn't get Drake on the show, but the Royals' next pick will be at number 87. That'll actually be fairly early on in the show tomorrow because they're going up to like pick 80 tonight. So pick 87 will be the 7th pick made during the draft cycle later, whenever you're listening to this on Monday. So Monday at 1 o'clock it begins. I would say by 1:15, 1:20, the Royals are making their next pick. I think we all got pretty close. You gave him an A of some sort. You gave him an A of some sort. I gave him an A of some sort.
B plus.
Josh gave him a B plus.
I did A-. Josh,
Which I'm the
because he's
optimist.
Mr.
I'm used-
pessimistic over here.
Yeah, hater.
You,
I mean,
sir,
I don't know
are
why
a
I hate him so
hater.
much.
I do want to throw it out there that high prep guy is pretty much off the board. High ceiling prep guy is pretty much off the board tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think you
They
could
just
get
won't have the money.
you could get a prep guy with a high ceiling. They're just going to have all kinds of
Tons of
volatility
right,
and risk.
yeah, right.
Well, and they're going to be
then
asking price.
and they might do it after round 10 when they're no longer have
Yeah.
these same
Yes.
sort of restrictions. Like, so if you don't know, the bonus pool only lasts for 10 rounds. After that, they can sort of have more freedom to draft whomever they want, and that's where they'll go for the athletic high school guys, like they did with Brendan McNair. I don't know if he was a free agent
I
or
love
drafted,
Brendan McNair.
but like they'll go for high upside guys. I think then more or better shot that they go for him then because they just won't have the money.
Or you get
Yeah.
the
Rounds
college
2 through
guy who falls in Luka Tresh.
Yeah,
Nady.
something like that.
All right. Well, we'll do a Twitter space or something tomorrow. So if you're watching us now and you want to know what tomorrow will look like, we'll be on Twitter spaces. We'll do something to get you guys some instant reactions to the Royals picks. But that's it for tonight. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Marcus,
thank you,
thanks for
guys.
joining
We
us.
appreciate it. It was a good
Check
time.
out the Royals Weekly podcast. They do a phenomenal job. Well done, guys. Joshua, we'll see you again real soon.
Can't wait. Thanks to KCSN hosting, bringing this all together, making this possible.
Good night, Canada.